Hey guys, it's Melissa. Happy Wednesday. I hope you are all having a great week. I have been working very hard to figure out the perfect steps to tell you how to sublimate socks. So last week I showed you a little preview of some socks that I sublimated, and people were like, "Oh my God, how'd you do that?" Blah 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 blah. So I have been, I have been trying to perfect that over the last week or so, and I think I finally got it. So I want to show you how this goes from start to finish. I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to tell you all the things that you need how to do this. Now this is we're going to do this start to finish, so I'm literally going to print it on my sublimation printer and then go through the whole process. So we might be here for, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes, okay? All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do, and I want to show you guys, here's a couple of socks that I've sublimated already. These are, they obviously have little silhouette type designs on there. These designs look familiar. They're also up on my clock up there. So these, what I'm basically saying is these were cut files that I then turned into a seamless pattern, and then I used to print on my printer, my sublimation printer, and then sublimate onto socks. So we are going to basically pick up from, we have our seamless pattern. This can be patterns that you purchase. We've got them on So Fancy. This can be patterns that you get from Silhouette Studio. They come with some default patterns in there, and basically what you are going to do is print that pattern. Now this works with a sublimation printer. These were white socks. White socks work well if you have a light colored background. Today I am going to use these gray socks, which these are sublimation socks as well. These are actually, I like these a little bit better. They're just kind of softer and more comfortable. And we are going to use it with this pattern right here, okay? So I don't know if you can see that, but we're gonna print this out. These are little, I'm sure you recognize this. I've had this little design on the blog a couple of times. It comes with just the little dog, the Frenchie, that has the red bandana, but in the studio I changed the color of some of the other ones, made it into a pattern, and I've printed it. Now, we need a couple of these sheets to do a full pair of socks. So I'm gonna print another set. I am printing, as I said, on my sublimation printer. Now, this sublimation printer is the Sawgrass SG400, okay? The newer model, which just came out, is the SG500. That is the 8.5 by 11 sublimation printer. However, you can print on your Sawgrass 4 or 500 up to 14 inches, which is great. You don't need a bypass tray or anything. All you would need is the longer piece of sublimation paper, which comes into the 14 inches. It's 8.5 by 14, or I think it's legal size, whatever it's called. So I have a blog post coming up on how to extend your tray. It's very easy. There's a couple of tabs. But anyway, you want to set that up so that you can have the maximum size paper so that you can cover your sock. So we're going to print that. It's going to take a second or two to print because it has so many colors. But as I said, I do want to do this from start to finish. Once this prints, I'm going to get my computer out of the way because I need to use my desk for the next step. So we've got, let me get some of this stuff out of the way. So we've got our socks. I threw the link up with socks. Now the gray socks work really well if you have a dark background. So black, if your pattern is black, if your pattern is like maroon, blue, anything that's super dark, it works really well. One thing that you should keep in mind though, that especially for a design like this where it's got some white areas, these white, your printer doesn't print white. So you are going to see gray in the areas that are white. That's basically just a negative space. Those of you who are asking in the comments about various things, I cannot read the comments because I'm so far away. So I do apologize for that. So that's why I'm not answering your questions. Hopefully I will be able to go back through after this is all done and answer your questions, or Ashley can. All the links for all the products that I'm talking about, the sublimation printer, a 15 by 15 heat press, not this one, a different one. Why didn't it print? Oh, let me try it again. For some reason it didn't print. Okay, so let's try this again. It's not supposed to come out blank. All right. Okay, so I designed everything in Silhouette Studio and then I exported it. And now it is in VPM, which I know this is far away for you to see. This is the Sawgrass Print Manager. It will allow you to, I'll try this again. It will allow you to have the really good colors. And they change the color profile depending on what you're gonna put your sublimation on. So if you're gonna sublimate onto polyester, you know, fabric versus, you know, a mug or something like that, it changes the color profile a little bit. All right, so hopefully this will print out correctly this time. I don't know why it didn't work that time. Regardless, once it prints, what we need are a couple of things. So we need to make strips. These are ones that I've already used. We need to make strips about this long, and I'm going to tell you how long that is. All right, now it's printing. This strip is obviously longer than this. So this is, if you have a Sawgrass 800 or 1000, Sawgrass SG 800 or 1000, you can print even longer than 14 inches. But if you only have the 400, you can still do this, okay? So what you're going to do is it's going to come out, and you'll see in a second, it's going to have a white border. You're going to cut that white border off so that your design is the full thing. And then you're going to fold this in half, okay? So just literally fold your paper exactly in half. This is sublimation paper. The link again to the sublimation paper, to the sublimation printer, to a printer bundle or a sublimation printer bundle with the heat press, the socks, everything I linked up top. Okay, so once you fold it in half, you're going to cut it in down that line. Okay, so I'm just cutting on the fold line. Okay, now. Okay, so now I have 2 strips of this, okay? You need to print out like 3 of these for each pair of socks, okay? So now I have that. I'm done with my printer for now. This, I'm gonna unplug that because it's kind of in the way. And I'm going to get rid of my computer so that you can see what is going on my desk. I'll pull you down here so you can see. Now, okay. So this is the paper that I just printed, okay? And as I said, you need to cut off that white edge, which I just did. I had this one already printed. Now what you're gonna do is you are going to line up the pattern, okay? And sometimes it works right on the end. It kind of depends on the pattern. Sometimes you have to kind of like have a little bit of overlap, but you wanna line that pattern up. So the reason that you need to do this is because you need to make your strip a little bit longer, and you'll see why in a second. So, well, first of all, this doesn't fit on the sock like this. You need to have the strip the full length of the sock, and the sock also needs to go on what's called a jig. I can't remember. All right, so the easiest way to make this longer strip is to use some high temperature tape. Let's see. Where's the start of my tape? Oh my goodness, where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, and you're going to tape these together, okay? Now, it's best if you have a little bit of an overlap. Here's what I do. I put the piece of tape on the end of one piece of my strips. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing, okay? And then I flip it over and, no, I did that wrong. You're going to have the piece of tape going up, so the sticky part is up. Okay, like this. Okay, so see, you can see here, so there's this piece of tape is overlapping a little bit. And then I take this second piece and I line up. Did I literally just do that? What did I do? No, that doesn't make sense. What did I do? How did I do this? Hold on. These should be exactly even. Oh, yeah, okay. This doesn't even make sense. Why is this doing this to me? All right, we're gonna do this one. Well, you need 2 anyway, so, okay, I'm gonna cut the strip. Hold on, we'll see what I'm talking about in a second. You need to overlap the two ends to make it longer. Okay, so cut off that white strip. The white, like I said, if you have white area on your sublimation printed paper, that's going to show up the color of your blank. So in this case, gray. Okay. Okay, so we're going to fold this one in half too and cut that. And cut this. So we've got a total of 4 strips. Okay, can you see what I'm doing here? Your heat press needs to be heated up to 400 degrees. Okay, so now the bottom of this one exactly lines up with the top of this. Okay, try not to leave any gap because you'll end up with a line. Okay, so now I have created one very long piece. You can see. Actually, Olivia, come here.
I see.
Show them your sock. Olivia's wearing the socks. We're making a separate pair. You can't really see. Okay, well, I'll call you back when we're done.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, and then you're going to make a second one with this one because, like I said, you need 2. So we'll just make them both at the same time. Here, another piece of tape, and we're making our strips. Okay, so tape, and I will put this all on the blog. This kind of a tutorial that's so lengthy is going to take me a couple of days to write up and photograph everything, but I know you guys are, people are crafting right now and they want to know. Okay, so we've got 2 long strips. Now, we're going to cut these down in a second, but before we do that, we want to, oh my gosh, need a trash can. Okay, we need to put our socks in one of these little jigs. So you can buy these. I just made them myself. This is heavy chipboard, and as you can see, it came as 12 by 12. I just had to add a little bit, another piece, and again, I just taped that together. When you make these, you want them to be slightly wider than the sock. Now, the thing that I found out is because we only have 8.5-inch wide paper, if you make them too wide, like I made this one, then it doesn't fit. The jig, am I saying this right? The sock jig is wider than the half sheet of paper, and so you don't want that either. All right, now you're gonna put this on here, and the reason that you're doing this is so that the sock is stretched a little bit, and you want it to be stretched a little bit while you're pressing, because if not, when you go to put the sock on your foot and then it stretches, if it hasn't been stretched while it's been sublimated onto, the stretch will end up making the color really dull because you'll see the areas that didn't get sublimation. Okay. All right, so we'll pull that on there. Okay, this one's been used a couple times. All right. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you have a 16-inch heat press, 16 by 20-inch heat press, it's much easier. However, because then you can do 2 at once because you can lay them. However, if you only have a 15 by 15, which I do, you can do it on the diagonal and it will all still fit, even though it wouldn't fit if it was straight, okay? But diagonal it does. So now we can trim this piece down. So we only need to cover the part where the sock is, all right? So I'm gonna trim this a little bit. Okay, and I can keep this piece in case I need it for another sock. Okay, so now I'm gonna come around here and I'm gonna first place my sock on the heat press. I'm gonna make sure that the total gray part, or the total part that needs to be sublimated, is on the press. If you have it like this, where that back corner is not on the press, it's not gonna be sublimated, okay? If you have it completely on the press, just be very, very careful. Make sure the whole thing, you don't need the black part on there because that's not gonna get sublimated anyway. So make sure that's on there, add a diagonal, and then cover the entire thing with your printed sheet and make sure it's not upside down, okay? All right, so put that on there, okay? And then we are gonna press for 36 seconds. You need to make sure that you have firm pressure. This is not firm pressure. Okay, that one's going for 36 seconds. When that is done, we are going to then use this piece. We're gonna flip it over and we are then gonna use this piece. However, if you don't take one step in between, and I'm gonna show you the very important step, you will end up with a gray line down the center of here, okay? All right, so you don't want to do that. So I'm going to show you how to prevent that once this is done. So you can put, I'm not going to do the second one while we're on camera here because I need to print more, okay? Oh, it didn't press it. Okay, let's do this side. I don't think I had enough pressure on there. Oh no. Let's see, hold on, before I... You need firm pressure. Okay, that should work. Okay, let's let this cool a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna start over, because look. See what happens? I perfect it and then it still doesn't work. Livy, come show, can you take yours off and come show them yours? Mm-hmm. All right, hold on.
My feet are cold.
Well, just show them your sock.
Oh, this is warm.
So, show.
This is mine.
So, can you show it so that it's like down so you can see?
Yeah.
And actually, got it? You got it. Okay, cool. All right, let's try this one more time.
But
all right, we're going to try this one more time. Okay. Okay, I think. All right, try this one. And then I'll have to print another piece. All right, so you've got it. Again, you want to make sure it's diagonal and make sure that it's on there. The whole thing is on your press. Flat, okay. I need I'm really hoping that this works. Because, of course, I've been testing this a week and I've gotten like 10 perfect socks and now I do it here and it's not working. I might need, what I actually think I need is, where is mine? No, we don't want that. Okay, well, we're gonna just, everybody say a little prayer that this works, that the pressure is enough. You need really firm pressure. I'm telling you it worked before. We might actually be able to reuse this because it barely came out. We'll see. You do not need anything. These are sublimation ready socks. I didn't do anything different with Olivia's. I literally just plopped it down there and it was fine. So we'll see what happens. The only thing I did different is I just moved the heat press across the office, so. Yay, okay, that one works great, okay? All right, so there we've got that one, so you saw that. Now, I gotta let this cool for a second, but what we wanna do, we don't wanna just turn it over and then press again. What we need to do, because we've got this edge, is we actually need to take the sock and kind of twist it all the way down so that you are going to end up getting a very, very slight overlap. Okay. Okay, so you're going to twist here. I'm going to twist this. It's easier if you have a slightly wider sock jig, which again, you can buy. But because I only have 8.5-inch wide paper, so see how it's very subtle, but at least we've got the edge cover. Now we're gonna do this again on the back side. I am going to take a gigantic risk and use this piece this was the original piece I used. It's not I don't think it's going to fully cover, but we're gonna try and see how this works. Okay, because I don't want you to have to sit here while I print another piece and cut it and tape it. Okay, ready? So this is the back side. Yes, as long as they have polyester, at least, I mean, the higher the polyester percent, the better. And typically we only say you can only sublimate onto white, but again, these socks are light gray enough. And again, the reason that these socks are ideal is because for dark background, they have a dark background too. And so when they stretch, when you have them on, as you saw Olivia had them on, then you won't be able to see, it won't be like stark white as it would be if you had white socks, okay? I'm really hoping this works. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I saved it. Move you back a little bit. Okay, so now you can just take that off and you have created what looks like it's completely sublimated, okay? Remember, this is what it looks like before, and now this is what it looks like after, okay? Full, the edge, no edge, you've got it, because you twisted it that little bit around, it is able to get right into the edge there, okay? So that when the sock is on, you don't see that line down the edge, okay? All right, now, as I said, I am going to put a blog post up on this in the next, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, hopefully sooner, all right? Someone's asking how I created the design. So the design itself, this started as just one design, okay? It started as literally just this. And then I created a seamless pattern in Silhouette Studio, which is a rather complex process. However, I created this seamless pattern. Well, first of all, I changed the color of a couple of the headbands and then, or bandanas, and then I created the pattern. Creating the pattern is very complex, and I did that in a video that I released on Silhouette U. It's not, there's just some things that are just not, it's too complex or too many steps to really write it into a written tutorial. So I did do that for Silhouette U. However, you can use any pattern that you want. And what I may do, if you guys are interested, I may just release the pattern itself as a freebie. If you're interested in that, say and I will put the pattern as a freebie maybe on Freebie Friday, so this week or next week, okay? Anyway, once I did that, then I re-imported it into my Silhouette Studio library as a pattern. And when you do that, then you can scale. And so I could have made this so that it had, twice as many dogs on there. So the dogs were closer together. I added the hearts into that space. I didn't have to do that. But when you use items as patterns, as opposed to like, I'm just going to put this image into a square, you can then scale it, you can move it around, you can do all sorts of different kind of things. And then that's what you saw was what I printed on that full sheet on the Sublimation printer, okay? So these are great for custom gifts. They are great for Mother's Day, Father's Day, if you want to make those bottom of the sock designs, the ones that say, if you can read this, I just sat down, or if you can read this, ask Dad, if you can read this, get me a beer, whatever. This is a great way to do this, and it's much, much better than heat transfer vinyl, especially on a stretch item like this, where if you're, walking on it for one thing, if it's stretching around your calf or whatever, it's going to end up starting to peel. It's going to get heavy use. So sublimation like this, it prints, it moves it right into the pattern. Please do not look at my nails. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed by this. But the way sublimation works, you do need that special printer, but with the heat and the pressure, the ink, the sublimation ink from that special sublimation printer turns into a gas, and it infuses into the surface, okay? A polyester surface. Hence, infusible ink. That's the Cricut infusible ink. It's sublimation, pre-printed sublimation. So there you go. If you have infusible ink sheets, you could do the same exact thing, okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you that this is an easy process or a fast process. However, you can make it much, much easier and faster for yourself if you have the larger SG 800 or SG 1000, because that can print wider and longer. And then that way you're not cutting and, taping your pieces together, as you saw that I had to do. You can also make it do twice as many socks at the same time if you have a 16 by 20 inch heat press, because the socks will fit completely on your press. Whereas for mine, you saw I had to do it on the diagonal in order for it to fit. The white socks, I did not add a link up to the top because I wasn't thrilled with the quality of them. They were kind of stiff. These are much more comfortable. They're not cheap. It was well, I guess it wasn't terribly expensive. It was 12 sets, so 24 socks, and I think it was $36. So not terrible, especially if you're selling them, if you're gifting them, different things like that. And for something that's totally customizable, these are great. All right. And these are unisex, adult. All right. Okay. All right, you guys, I hope you have a great day. I hope you're crafting something fun. I hope you're learning a new skill and getting to know your silhouette. If it's still in the box, you have had no excuse over the last 4 weeks not to get that thing out of the box. So check it out, get it out of the box, and I want to see what you're crafting.